recording. Well, I've never talked to you before, so I don't know exactly what you'd like to go by. Do you want to go by Geno Samuel, or do I just call you Samuel?
Geno.
Geno, okay. Welcome to I'll Discuss Anything. I'm Patrick. I've got Geno with me today. Geno has been doing this documentary series, right? I suppose I would call it journalism.
It's. Yeah, I guess some people might call it documentary series, though personally I'd say I'm more of like an archiver rather than a documentary.
Well, I know everybody else is calling it a documentary. Like I'm sure.
Yeah, I think for simplicity's sake, I just call it a documentary, though it's not truly that, though.
Are you a journalist in any other fashion?
No, I'm just a journalist for Chris.
Yeah, just a Chris historian.
At this time. Right.
So what got you started doing this? Why Chris?
Well, I've been on and off into Chris for a while now, ever since about 2011, when I was exploring B on 4chan, because that was the hip place to go to at the time.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was really edgy and rebellious going there and exploring that place.
I was right there with you.
That was around the time that Bob, Chris's father, actually died, so that's when things kind of really started to die down. And I've been seeing threads on there of people asking, is he actually legit? Is he actually like this, or is he a troll? And I started exploring him myself from there, and interested in him on and off ever since then. Things started really getting more intense for me, history-wise, back in 2017, I think, is when I started really exploring him again, and watching videos about him, and reading the Quickie, of course, which is his own little wiki,
yeah,
big wiki, yeah.
That thing's massive.
2,000 pages.
Yeah, that thing is
over 2,000
massive.
pages at the moment. Yeah, and I was kind of annoyed that there wasn't really there wasn't really a series like my series that I'm making now, so that's why I decided to make it, because it wasn't out there already.
So you did this for simplicity's sake, for other people who were going to be doing the same thing as you just did it as essentially and this is a strange way to put this, I suppose, but a service to the world.
Yeah, right, yeah, because Chris videos at the time, and maybe even now, they're pretty much just commenters commenting about what is happening and why is he doing this, and because he is, for example, because he's stupid, because of autism, because he doesn't know what he's doing, and yada yada yada. And I really didn't want to do that. I just wanted to have this video resource at hand so that I could just have a better understanding of what's happening, without any commentary, without any colorful commentary that's so popular.
I've noticed when people talk about your series that they usually start off with the idea of, okay, well, it's like a documentary, but Geno doesn't have any emotional connection to this. He doesn't tell you if what the person's doing right or wrong or anything. It's just pure history.
Right. Yeah, that was my idea, that I wanted to give Chris a chance to speak. So that's why I, instead of putting words into his own mouth, I either say what happened, or I read through messages that Chris or others around him say, or I just let him talk a lot. And some people might have an issue with that, like I don't contribute enough of my own input, and I kind of disagree with that, because people say, like, some episodes are a bit more video oriented, some episodes are more video orientated or audio orientated, where it's not just me talking about what's happening instead of just Chris rambling on about whatever he's up to at the time. And some people say, oh, this isn't good as the ones before because I'm not getting as much input from Geno. I was like, I never give my own input. That's not the deal of this show. You just like the sound of my own voice, just reading stuff is what you mean.
You do all the subtitles too. You do, so much work on this project.
The subtitles and the transcriptions of the videos and the audio voice calls. They're up on the quickie, though lots of them are inaccurate, so then I have to make it more accurate again. But of course, the actual the syncing up of titles along with the dialogue, that's all me, of course, and that's the hardest part, I guess. It's not technically difficult; it just takes the longest to do.
Yes, absolutely. That editing, I'm sure, takes forever. I've seen. I'm not up to date with your series at the moment. I'm about 25 episodes in, something like that. Yeah. My wife and I have been watching it. My wife is a huge fan, by the way. She loves your work.
Wow.
She didn't know anything about Christina. Yeah, absolutely anything. Aside from my passing knowledge of growing up on the internet. And she is absolutely enthralled with your show. She loves to... It's like sitting down for a dinner date, you know, and we'll just put on your show and watch it. She loves hearing about Christina and their escapades. You said earlier that you wanted to give them a way to talk. You didn't want to put your own emotions on this. You just wanted to give them their own space to say what they wanted to about their own history.
Right.
Has that happened yet? Have they reached out to you to speak?
As in Christine?
Yes.
Yeah, several times.
And anything in particular?
She is aware of the show. She watches every episode, I guess, and she likes it for the most part.
I'm actually very glad to hear that. With how many things that Christine has gone through in the last couple of years, of course, I'm no white knight or anything, but I understand that it's a very, very thin line with this type of content that you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I guess that some people would have liked me to be a bit kinder, or I don't know, a bit more meaner, or I don't know. But just I just want to say I just want to tell everyone what happens, basically. And Christine, as far as her comments against about the show, for the most part, she's glad that there's this sort of resource available for her to remember what happened.
Oh, is that the case?
And in her life, yeah. And she has expressed her pleasure at seeing some of the more embarrassing things show up in the show, like the in the most recent part 35, is a very unfortunate video in which Chris was convinced by his then gal pal to sit on a chocolate cake and fart on it.
Oh yes, the cake fart video.
Cake farts featured there, and in a recent YouTube podcast radio show that she was on, she wished that it was not a video, but that's life. That's Chris's.
I suppose Christine lives this miraculous, overwhelmingly episodic, like it's almost like your series is the way that their life actually goes. Like it has these seasons and these tracks to it. There's always an antagonist and then a love interest and all of these things. Did you sit down before you did this and try to track all of this out and try to find out how long it was going to take?
When I first started making it, actually this was back in early 2018, actually, on my original second channel, Geno Samuel 2, which has been, but back then when I was first finding it out, I imagined that I would get to his death at part 10 and be finished up by part 15.
You cut out there for a second. You were saying Bob's death?
Oh yeah. So I was estimating that I would get to Bob's death at part 10, and then I'll finish up with the series and get to 2018 and part 15.
Wow.
That's not accurate now. I'm still in part 35 and still in 2011.
How much longer are you estimating that this is going to take?
Well, it largely depends on what kind of content Chris was making at the time. So, for example, parts 37 and 38, which I'm currently editing already, they're basically pretty much just Facebook posts, and I can get through with those 2 years in pretty much 2 episodes.
Wow.
So,
well,
it depends on either he's making lots of videos or lots of Facebook posts. If it's just Facebook stuff, then it'll be pretty quick, like 2012, 20.
Well,
then I imagine nowadays maybe part 50, the 50.
You think it'll be 50 episodes?
50 episodes to current day. Yeah, maybe.
Wow. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of personal things then? Since, I mean,
Yeah.
we can talk about Christine all day, but
Right.
you're making this. You weren't making this for monetization. You just made this as a historian. Have you thought about doing this as a living? I'll be the first to tell you, you're very, very good at it.
Well, when I first started making it, of course I had thoughts of monetization, but see what happens is when you're on YouTube, you have to hit some certain criteria in order to get your channel monetized. Hours in like the first year, and after that you can apply to get monetized.
I'm sorry, you cut out there. Something about monetization.
God damn it. This is anyway, so in order to get monetized on YouTube, you should get like 1,000 watched hours and 4,000 subscribers first year.
Yeah.
Like in order to get monetized, and I reached those goals in like the first 2 or 3 videos, which was nuts. And then so I decided, yeah, sure. My friends were saying it's a good idea, so I'll get monetized. And then about part 5, after I had applied to get monetized, I thought it feels weird to get money directly from YouTube for this. It kind of feels I don't want to do this anymore, but I can't unapply to get monetized. So what happens is that some staff from YouTube manually have to review your channel and see if you're okay to get monetized.
Mm-hmm.
That happened when the original part 12 was uploaded, and around that time. So they reviewed my videos. One was removed for bullying, then another, then my channel got terminated.
Oh wow.
That was the end. Yeah. I actually appealed for that because I'm not directly bullying them, because that was bullying and harassment, but I guess it's considered bullying if you just talk about bullying that's happening. You're not actually doing it yourself.
That's strange. That would be like getting charged for war crimes because you cover Auschwitz or something.
Right, you're just saying you're a criminal because you have a side focused show or something. Right.
So did the monetization just fall through then?
Yeah. So that was dead. So I appealed across this respected flagger, was it? Trusted flagger on Twitter. He checks out these disputes, and as if there's a case to restore the channel. I tried really hard, but YouTube continued to say that I was bullying this person, even though Chris himself posted a tweet saying that he would or she was not responsible for this, and hoped that Geno would get his channel back. But no, I decided I guess I'll move to BitChute, because that other video site that's outside of the mainstream, and it's more censor free, I guess. And I uploaded part 13 there. Then after that, I decided, no, I've had enough of this. I'm gonna go on a break. And then I was on hiatus for about 8 months. Then I started remaking the series again, part 1 on the current channel, 2.1, going ever since then. And the key is that I cannot let YouTube know about what I'm doing. Even though I'm getting so many views and so much attention, they cannot specifically know that I exist, or else I'm gonna get shut down again.
Oh, you think so?
And in the event that happens, see, what happens is when your channel gets taken down on YouTube, as that can't create another channel or a replacement channel. So I had to create a new Google account. I made Geno Samuel 2.1 all the way up to Geno Samuel 2.9, just in case one gets taken down. I can just re-upload everything on that already existing channel.
Good lord, just the amount of time that it would take to re-upload everything, though.
Yeah.
Are you on Fiverr or anything?
On what?
fiber, just some very fast internet connection?
I probably am. I don't know. I had to do some research on it.
Well, how long does it take you to upload one of your videos?
Like from the inception to the upload?
No, just you've got a finished product, and you need to put it onto YouTube. Does it take you, I would just guess it would take an hour or so if you're not on fiber.
I guess less than an hour, maybe half an hour.
Oh, well, you're on some pretty fast internet connection, so I guess it's not too much of a hassle if you have to re-upload everything. It would definitely be a day's worth of work, though.
There's a lot of videos, man.
It is. Well, you do more than... that's a good segue, actually. You do more than just your series on Christine. You're also a musician.
Yeah, that's my first channel, Geno Samuel, where I focus on music, and that is okay to get monetized, and it is monetized.
Has that turned out better for you since you started doing your series on Christine?
Oh yeah, I did a 10K Q&A on my original Christian channel way back and that's where I first mentioned my music channel, and that's where I got the bulk of my subscribers now.
Oh, well, I'm very happy that happened for you. As a fellow musician, I know how it is.
Thanks. But yeah, I keep working away on music, well, and it's nice. Of course, it could be nicer, but hey, what are you gonna do? I just try to very subtly shield myself in the descriptions of each video. You're going okay.
That's not. I wouldn't say that that's in any way bad. I mean, I think that everybody kind of does that. So, do you do anything else like Twitch streaming or anything like that?
No Twitch streaming. I do occasional YouTube streams, either on my Christian channel or my music channel, where I play my own music or take requests.
Really?
Yeah. I'm also planning on doing another special super secret project on YouTube, which I'm not gonna say what it is, but
of course. So
actually, no. The idea is that I'm gonna try to make it completely disassociated from the entire Geno Samuel thing. I'm not even gonna attach my name to it.
Oh, that'll be a brand new experience then for you.
Right. 0.
So you've done this series on Christine and her, and you're saying that it'll probably take 50 or so episodes. Are you going to intermittently start doing another series on perhaps somebody else? Or I know you said you had another project in the works, but I don't want to say what in particular that is. But are you thinking about, okay, well, after I'm done with this, or maybe to get a small break from reading about her all the time, maybe do somebody else, maybe cover some of the people that are also have had these types of lives and scenarios?
Well, I do have a third channel called Geno Samuel 3, which is for all the documentaries which are not about Chris. And so far, I have one video on there about the PMRC thing of 1985, where a bunch of Washington wives decided that they didn't like how explicitly violent and graphic music was becoming in the artist and stuff like that.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's up on Geno Samuel 3. And I'm planning to do more. I got 2 scripts pretty much ready. I just need to record them and edit them. One is about the Soviet space dog Laika, and another is about the so-called worst poet in history, William McGonagall. The script is kind of pretty. I guess it's either going to be like a feature-length video of about 2 hours, or I could just split it up into 3 parts, maybe.
So you're going to do the same thing that I'm trying to remember his name, Frederick Knudsen does. I'm not sure. I'm sure you're familiar.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So you're going to be kind of doing that type of formula. Are they going to be long format videos like the ones you're currently doing?
Some might be longer than others. Most of them, I imagine, would be just one-offs. It could be 20 minutes, could be an hour, or I guess the longest, series focused on one subject, which I can imagine is maybe one about G.G. Allen. Yeah.
I'm very familiar. That was a very interesting man. I would love to see your take on G.G. Allen's life.
So it's gonna be G.G. Allen, A Comprehensive History. That's what it's gonna be.
At least you're sticking with your branding. So you said that Christine, she has reached out to you several times over the course of you doing your show, but they are not the only person that is in your documentary that you're doing, your show. Right. There are several other named individuals, like Liquid Chris, that type of thing. Have you had any people reaching out from those types of just the onlookers, or the people that were on the sidelines and these types of things, or perhaps the trolls themselves?
I guess you could say victims, or just unwilling accomplices in Chris's life, like Megan or Michael Snyder, have not reached out or acknowledged it at all, to my knowledge. But some of the trolls have. I know for a fact that the troll known as Emily or Kim Wilson or other unnamed gal pals online does actively watch the videos and sometimes comments on them as well. And I should keep her YouTube account a secret, but now it's her.
If I could ask, how are you so sure?
I was tipped off by someone else, actually. I checked her out. I checked her content out on her own YouTube channel, and yeah, it's pretty much her.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and also Marvin, the man in the pickle suit, on that date with Emily, is also aware of it and says that he doesn't really see the point of it, or something like that. Yeah, it's whatever.
So he's unhappy with your product?
He just maybe doesn't see what's the fuss about.
Well, with the amount of documentation that goes or that just exists, it's hard to say that you wouldn't see the point in just cultivating all of that in one place. But perhaps he doesn't have any idea about why anybody would go to such lengths to do so.
Yeah, I mean, because you already have the quickie, which is some people's criticism against it. But the quickie is kind of hard to kind of grasp an accurate chronology of what happened through the quickie, because you have to go between different pages to get a better idea of what's happening. Even so, a lot of the articles are written as if they were actual events created by actual trolls who are actual people, like for example, Vivian G and Clyde Cash are portrayed as real people and not like fictitious characters created by trolls. So it's kind of hard to get a true picture of what actually happened.
Oh, that actually does sound very difficult to read through.
Through that, you know.
Have you been worried that any of these people are going to contact you and bother you the same way that they have with Christine in her past?
I haven't yet. I think I'm okay for now. I really don't think that they're interested in delving into the world anymore, even if they are in already, like with Chris and Cash. Just left that part of their lives behind them.
Well, it was almost, a decade and a half ago.
Right.
I'm trying to think, have you kept up with what any of the people who were in that time frame are doing now, such as the Clyde Cash or Liquid Chris, what they're doing these days?
There's not much known about Clyde Cash, except that maybe he was like lived in a trailer park, and this is all like speculation and rumors probably, but lived in a trailer park with a girlfriend who then cheated on him. That's like all I know.
And then Blue Spike and the rest?
Blue Spike, no idea what happened to him. There's a Blue Spike account on Kiwi Farms website, but it seems like that one is actually just pretending to be Blue Spike and the actual person. And Liquid Chris and Casey apparently are married and still married to each other. And Liquid Chris is apparently a doctor or an oncologist.
Wow. I didn't see that coming. So for these for these videos that you do, how long does it take you to cultivate all of this information? You already said reading the quickie is a hassle in of itself, but you've got to. I'm sure you use several different sources.
No, just a quickie. Pretty much just the quickie. Unless when I get into the later parts of Krista's life, maybe I'll have to go into and go through those. Basically, everything that I need to document is linked, at least in the quickie. Like it links it to a different site which has the source and the. But yeah, from research and reading about it and then writing it down, writing the script could take maybe up to a week. It depends on just how many videos there are. Like if there's lots of videos and audio recordings, that just pretty much just copy and paste it all, and complete the word count. The word count's pretty easy. And then if I don't have to read that much, then of course I don't have to spend so much time narrating it, or the narration. But like parts 37 and 38 are like pretty much just 40 minutes of talking. It took a really long time to write down and record as well. But because of that, the video editing itself is actually pretty easy because there's not subtitles to do and stuff like that.
It's not much visual work besides the subtitles.
Yeah. Well, as for the visuals, of course, there's visuals like moving pictures of Chris or whatever he wrote on Facebook on the screen itself and stuff like that. But it's not actual videos, right?
Cool.
So it'll take over maybe two or 3 weeks per episode.
2 or 3 weeks per episode? What type of setup are you using? Are you just do you have like a very high-tech microphone and all that? I'm sure that you're not using the microphone that you usually use for this interview.
Yeah, for this interview I'm using a Shure SM7B. And for the Chris stuff, I'm using the microphone which I originally had when I first started recording it, just out of consistency's sake. It's an MXL V67.
I've seen it. You the way that you hold it, you hold it kind of to your face in some live things.
Yeah, I do. Well, I used to before I switched to the SM7B for the live shows. It's a golden corn on the cob looking. And it kind of looks like Link too, Link from Zelda. Yeah, like yellow hair on top with green clothes.
I'd love to see what that looks like. I'll have to look that up after this interview because that sounds rather silly for a microphone. So are you using like an audio interface and everything, or are you just using a microphone, a USB microphone for all of this?
Oh no, it's an audio interface going. It's a Yamaha audio interface going into and I record the audio on Acid Pro 7, which was discontinued about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a rather old software.
I've Acid Suite too for my music, which I sometimes use, but mostly even for music, even nowadays I still use Acid 7.
Really?
Yeah. For video editing, I use Vegas.
Oh my God, you're the exact opposite of me. I can't use that stuff, man. I just can't. I use Premiere for my videos. I use FL Studio for my music.
Oh.
Yeah, you're the exact opposite. But as far as equipment goes, you have much higher quality equipment than I do.
Just okay, I guess.
Nah, I'm just using a Samson G-Track Pro, just standard USB microphone that you can get from Best Buy. Nothing special on my end. So, you said that Chris has watched your episodes and has been keeping up with the show. Has she thought about coming on the show at all to talk?
Some people have suggested me doing an interview with her. I never thought that was a good idea, and never did Chris talk about that either. He, however, during this recent times, Chris seems to believe that she's being possessed, or like her body is being controlled by other characters such as Magic-chan and Sonichu, and Magic-chan and Sonichu themselves have spoken to me as well, and I have lots of, I guess, content say that Kiwi Farms might be interested in, but it's still private. It's still on my Twitter DMs.
I understand. Were you part of Kiwi Farms before all of this?
No, I opened my ultra secret Kiwi Farms account on the first day that I uploaded the doc. I've been keeping pretty quiet on the account.
I was going to say, you don't seem to use anything from Kiwi Farms aside from,
Right.
I believe you mentioned it once.
Have I?
I believe so.
Probably
Just in one episode, I believe, but I might be thinking of something else.
I have it in my description though. I'm pretty sure, but I don't know because Kiwi Farms hasn't existed before 2015.
Is that right? I thought it was a much older website than that.
Well, it was the what's the opposite of predecessor?
Of what now?
What's the opposite of predecessor?
Predecessor?
Like,
I suppose successor? Yeah.
Yeah, Kiwi Farms is the successor of Quickie Forums, which was around for a long time. That was like a discussion-only site about Chris, and there was a splintering in the site between people who just wanted to document what's happening and talk about Chris, and those wanted to actively involve themselves in his life. And from that came Kiwi Farms, which was named after a common mispronunciation by certain lolcows of Quickie Forums. And first it was just like a quick only, like Christian only, but then they branched out into other lolcows.
So which one was the group that wanted to leave Chris alone and just view it from an outside perspective?
Well, that was just the Quickie Forums people, and you had the PVCC, which was the Private Villa of Corrupted Citizen trolling group, which were kind of like the masterminds behind all the content happening.
Are there still people to this day trying to do these types of things that you've documented to Christine?
Yeah, some people do. Yeah, either I'm kind of guilty of thinking about doing it myself. When I first went to the Quickie and researched Chris and thought, wow, here's his phone number. I can just call him, and I thought it's not a good idea. Also, I live in Ireland. I probably can't call this number.
Yeah, probably not. You're in Japan now, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like you could probably do that from Japan that easily either. It'd probably cost a lot of money.
Well, definitely not phone calls. I mean, there's other ways now, like through Discord and stuff like that. Pretty sure lots of stuff happens for Chris on Discord, which we don't really know about.
Oh, I was going to ask, does she have her own Discord?
Yeah, she does.
And have you been there?
I've not encountered Chris on Discord. No.
Are these things that are still going on, that are still happening to her? Do you imagine that at some point you'll just say, okay, that's enough, for my series, and I'm not going to just continually everything that happens to her, cover?
I'm still thinking that this series will finish when one of us will be finished with their life.
Really?
Kind of morbid, but yeah, this is my thinking for now, at least.
So you're planning for the long haul with this?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we have access to free internet, as long as there's a YouTube, as long as I can, as long as I can access whatever Chris is doing and saying, I have no idea what the future holds. But this is.
I think you cut out there for a second.
Oh well.
It's nothing you could really do about that. So
yeah,
you're just gonna keep going for as long as you can. It sounds like it would make a lot more sense in that case then to try to find some way of monetizing this, maybe selling shirts or that type of thing.
Yeah, I just can't seem to think of a good way to monetize it, unless you can check out my Patreon, which is kind of really disguising the fact that I'm mostly known for Christian.
Oh,
I
you're
talk
just
mostly about my music and stuff like that.
do you do you see do you see this being at any point just what you do for a living? You just, make these documentary series on YouTube, or do you think that you're going to continue to work a regular job and that type of thing as well?
Well, it's possible. Either it's just Christian. I hope it's not, because I really want to delve into other topics. I think there's support for what I do, and people appreciate my voice and delivery and my music as well. Of course, I'm pushing up. I have other projects in mind, and yeah, it's going pretty well so far. And I'm glad that Chris is not too angry with me.
I'm actually happy about that, and most of all, that part to me is an absolute blessing. It seems that a lot of these types of things she gets very angry about and is very dismissive of, and they're usually shut down rather quickly.
Yeah.
So do you like just work a regular job and all that type of thing right now? Is this just all you do with your off time besides just this and music, really?
This music and studying programming. Well.
Oh, are you in university still?
Oh no, I'm a full-time graduate. Yeah.
Oh, are you employed as a programmer?
Not yet. I'm just studying for a possible future change in years.
Okay. Well, why don't I ask you, I'm sure, a question that a lot of people would like to know. Why Japan?
Well, I've been interested in the culture since a very young age. Ever since watching The Ring, I think, when I saw a bunch of people having dinner, sitting down on the ground. Really strange. Like, wow, it's like a different world entirely. And I became interested in the culture, the language. I started teaching myself Japanese before I was actively studying it in uni. Yeah, it got me here. It's a lovely place. I love the people, so kind, and I really appreciate order. And cleanliness, which is kind of lacking in Arlington.
Yes, it's definitely one of the more cleanliness and order is one of the things that the Japan holds in very high regard. It's one of those things that you won't find on the rest of the planet like you will there.
Right.
So, I assume that you were going to Japan to study. You're just living there full time?
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why, I thought I had it in my head that you were just you were going there to study or something like that. I believe that I sent you some hiragana. I don't know, it was a couple of months ago. I don't remember what I said. Yeah, I sent you. It was just on Discord. I sent you some hiragana.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't read it or something.
No, you said that's even beyond my level.
I remember that.
I think I just said. Yeah, I think I just said damn. Yeah, it says damn Gaijin-sama, but in Japanese. Do you have
something in there that I couldn't understand though? I can't remember what it was.
So Gaijin-san. I don't know if that's actually correct. I might have misspelled that. I'm reading it now, and I'm like, I don't know if that's all correct. My hiragana isn't nearly as good as it was a couple of years ago.
Damn.
Do you speak fluent Japanese?
No, it's not fluent. I'm still learning.
So,
but it's enough to get me by.
So how hard is it living as Gaijin in Japan?
For me, it's not that hard. The job itself is an after-school extracurricular English school, so that's all in English pretty much. That's fine.
So you teach English?
Yeah.
It sounds like a wonderful job.
Not bad. The pay's a bit low, but it's okay. That's why I want to become a programmer.
I can imagine. Is there any difference in this? You'll have to forgive me. I'm in IT, but my programming feet aren't the wettest. Is there any giant difference that would occur programming in the East versus the West?
Well, Japan is more interested in the Ruby coding language. But...
Really, I didn't see that coming. Python's the big thing in the West, from what I understand. Well, right now, last I looked, trust me, which was, maybe a couple of years ago. I don't know. I'm a network engineer. I don't really have to do much programming myself. So,
yeah, but the Japanese are interested in Ruby because it was invented by a Japanese.
It was invented by a Japanese man?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So, day-to-day life for you is just go to work, come home, work on these things. Have you run into any difficulties living in Japan so far?
Difficulties? Not really. I enjoyed it very much here, except it might take a long time to get to work by subways and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's true. I suppose you're going to be taking public transit for most things.
Right.
Well, I actually had another thing that I suppose it's not a really good segue or anything, but I did have something else I wanted to ask you about, which is fan communications with you.
Right.
How does that go for you? Do you have good fan communications?
I think so. Yeah, they're pretty good with it. They're kind of nice, and I mostly communicate through comments because I really try my hardest to read every single comment they post on the new videos, and especially in the first 24 hours of a new upload, they like to talk a lot, and I like to see what they say.
That's got to be
something like
tens of thousands, right?
Oh, about 2,000 per video, at least in the first day or two. A lot.
I would imagine so. How long does that take you?
Just in my free time when I wake up in the morning, just give them what everyone's saying. Any criticisms? Yeah.
Have you come across anything strange with things being sent to you so far?
Strange things sent to me.
Yeah. I imagine with your specific, with what you're specifically covering, I can imagine you've been sent some rather strange things.
Actually, not really. I guess the strangest thing you could say, but it's kind of nice too. It was someone did a fan art of me as a Sonichu. They called him, and they called me Geno.
Oh my god! Can I get a picture of that?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to put that up.
Wait, that was like so they used my appearance in my Plastic Love video as the Geno. It was like me in my Mario Takeuchi uniform and Sonichu and throwing a cabbage around because that's the name of my album, Cabbage.
I'm trying not to laugh. That sounds brilliant. Oh my god. Oh no. I did not expect it to be so well done.
Oh, it's good, man.
That's not. I thought we were talking about in Chris's style.
Oh no, of course not.
Oh my god.
Talented people looking at me. Nice.
I can't imagine how many of these just these in general. I'm sure you get a lot of actually.
I got like a few, well, like 3 or 4, as far as I know.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
it's just really well done. Sorry, I was looking at it. That's way better than I thought it would be.
But they're usually not Sonichus, they're just my face.
Oh, yeah. Just portraits and the like.
Yeah. Actually, Chris suggested that she asked me if it was alright if she included me in her Twilight Sparkle Secret Shipfic folder card game.
I do not know what that is. You'll have to let me know.
See what Chris is doing now is that she's doing this little card game based on My Little Pony, and they have access to a website where you can make your own custom cards with your own pictures and your own descriptions of all the characters, powers and stuff like that. And she has like a big deck of like 600 cards, and she suggested that maybe would you like me to do a Geno Chew card for you? I was like, no thanks, it's okay.
You actually turned that down?
Yeah, because I don't want to know that my name is associated somewhere in Chris's house as we speak.
Well, I mean, it's not that really, as much as just I'm just surprised because that seems like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, though.
Yeah.
That would be very hard for me to turn down, regardless of the circumstance.
I'm okay. I don't need that in my life.
So that's probably the strangest thing that you've received?
I guess so, yeah.
See, I was expecting something from as retaliation, I would imagine, from trolls or the like. But I mean, you're not exactly out there, really. I mean, you show your face, but it's not like you have a PO box or anything, do you?
I was considering doing that, but no, I don't yet.
That would probably be where things would start turning a little bit weird. Yeah.
But also, I live in Japan, so people have to, I think, pay extra shipping, because most of them, I imagine, are in North America.
I would imagine so. Have you looked at your analytics?
Yeah, it's about 70% North America.
Or do you have
Canada and US.
I have to ask this just because my wife's so interested in your show. Do you have, what's the gender ratio?
Gender ratio, I imagine something like 85% male, I think.
I suppose I'm not too surprised. I thought that it might be more of a 65-35 type of deal. But
let me check real quick. 82.6% male. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So
and
like a fifth.
Most of them 18 to 34.
I actually believe that wholeheartedly. I'd be a little bit weird if it was, the 40-year-olds that were really into this.
Funnily enough, there's a really big gap between the 45 to 50. From the 45 to 54-year-olds to the 65-year-olds, and then it starts going back up. It's like 2% 65-year-olds. Like, what the hell?
You just got some people who are... I can imagine it. Like, my mother is about 65 or so, and I can imagine my mother watching your material. I should actually do that just as a thing.
No, I can kind of see it. It's like when women are kind of more obsessed about detective and crime shows more than men, feels like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For me, my mother definitely.
Yeah, it seems like documentaries are more of a if they're on television, I mean, or Netflix, not really on YouTube so much, but documentaries are more of a feminine entertainment for some reason.
Yeah.
I should do that and report back to you. I'm sure you'd probably love to know, since my mother is so aged. I will send her your channel, and I will get back to you on how she reacts. She will probably, if I know my mother, I think she might watch all of it. She might just binge. How many episodes are you on? 35 now?
35.
Well, during the pandemic, I'm sure that my mother would love 35 hours of something to burn, and.
Oh my god. So actually, funnily enough, is that the way I started making it, at least, is that I tried to make it and narrate it and tell a story in a way that even my dad could understand.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, because my dad is not knowledgeable about video games or anything like that. He does know what a Sonic is. He knows Pikachu, obviously, but that's about it. So I really try to over-explain lots of these new concepts as they're first introduced in the series. Like anyone, like basically with any limited amount of knowledge about what the outside world is like, understand it.
Do your parents know? I suppose. Since you're saying that, I suppose they know that you're working on this project.
Oh yeah, they're up to scratch with it. Yeah.
Are they really? Okay. Are they big fans of your work?
Yeah. I think so.
Well, see, you've got. There's no reason that people who are, higher age couldn't enjoy your work. You're already making it for them. You said originally it was so that you're something that your father would be able to understand. Was your father one of your first viewers?
Oh no, I was keeping it a secret until like part 11. Yeah.
Really? So you got to show him, hey, look, I made this thing and it blew up.
Yeah. Right.
How were their reactions?
Well, I actually can't remember that much, but yeah, but they caught up with it in a few days. Then the channel went down. And my dad was sad that I was stopping.
Oh no, you're right. You did. After your channel went down, you were gone for about 8 months.
Yeah.
Do your parents live with you in Japan?
Oh no, they're back in Ireland.
Are they? Okay. So if nothing else, then you've got this worldwide viewership of all ages, and honestly, if you keep going the way that you are, I would imagine that it will stay that way.
Yeah, actually, over this last weekend, I got a couple of mentions from bigger names on YouTube, like Mutahar from Ordinary Gamers and Super Mega as well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and my subscriber and view count has at least quadrupled.
Wow!
Just in the past day, it's crazy.
I actually sent a message to Ryan McGee from Super Mega asking if he would be interested in an interview with someone like this. I don't know if you've kept up with their work at all.
I don't really watch them, but I have been chatting on and off with Matt from Super Mega on Twitter, and maybe I might make an appearance on their podcast.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I'd definitely look into it. I'm sure that people would really love to see you on there. From what I understand, they mentioned you rather recently, correct?
Yeah, I think the past 2 podcasts they talked about a bit about me for maybe 20 minutes at a time, which was really nice.
Oh wow, my roommate. Well, I rent out the bottom of my house. The basement of my house is a fully furnished apartment. He's completely caught up with their podcast, and I was sitting in his room the other day, and I heard them talking about you while he was listening to it.
Yeah, one of my friends back in Ireland shared me their latest podcast and see, hey, they got some nice words to say about you.
Oh man, that's wonderful. Well, you're probably only going to grow, especially with the type of content you're doing. It's so accessible.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky sometimes because Chris Chan's story is told through various sources and various forms of media, such as videos, email correspondences, audio recordings, Facebook posts, and stuff like that. So the actual mood and delivery of the story throughout the series is kind of varied and varies a lot. And some people might not like certain elements of the story. But one of the reasons why I really wanted to make the video series is that when I was reading through the quickie, back then all I knew about Chris was basically the crazy YouTube videos, and I discovered all these really fascinating emails and audio recordings, and I felt that more people should know about this. But then I had to include them more in the videos as well.
Do you see this as a story, like it's chapter after chapter?
It's I kind of have to force myself to think of it as not a story, because I sometimes forget that this was actually a real person, not a character. Yeah, and I think some of the viewers also feel this.
How much have you gotten from your viewership of people showing remorse for Christine and what happened to her in her life?
Lots of people, when they first discovered me, really changed their opinion about Chris. I think they started to really sympathize with her. Definitely, I guess, from the way that I portray the series and the life of Chris.
Well, her life is the way you portray it. At least the way that you portray her life is true to history. You're not exactly you don't, as far as I know, of course, which I don't know too well, but from what I can tell, you don't exactly mince facts or anything.
Right. Yeah.
Everything is kind of laid bare.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you could say the other documentary style videos about Chris. And I put some maybe goofy music over the top and say, oh, Chris did this dumb thing during this year or whatever.
I actually physically cringed at the idea of you saying them putting goofy music over it.
Because I'm pretty sure I saw something like that somewhere. Have you watched the Satchmo documentary?
Yes, I have. Yes, I wanted to look into a couple of other people who did your type of work before interviewing you, just to make sure that I had an idea for the type of things that you're doing and how it compares to the work of others.
Yeah.
I do have to say I highly prefer your styling. What's the most negative feedback you've received so far?
Negative feedback. Ooh, there could be a few ones. Like enough of the phone calls already is a popular one, and this was happening during the Alec Benson Leary saga, its 20s, which was there was some episodes where like half of them was a phone call. And I know some people don't like that, but I thought it was very interesting. And this was the phone call after I'd cut out all of the unnecessary junk, which I considered unnecessary.
What type of thing is that?
Basically, I tried to make sure that everything is mentioned at least once in the series. So like I tried to cut down all the repetition. And basically talking, just basically repetition, because Chris likes to repeat himself a lot back then.
That's true. I never actually thought about that. There's a lot of repetition in the phone calls that you've got already, and I didn't actually think that those were edited.
It was very heavily edited. And I'm kind of pleased that people don't realize that it's actually edited.
Well, it's already... Chris has such a very specific way of speaking that I'm not sure how much editing you would actually have to do to do that. To get that to get rid of that way of speaking. So it just comes off to me, who has known about her for a decade, as sounding very natural. Your editing is very on point with that.
Thanks, but it's not just repetition of words and stuff like that, but also the topics as well. So like they get into discussions that were discussed already, like by other people, or even in phone call as well. So I cut all that out. Lots of times it's more than 50% cut out.
Wow.
Especially during the father call of part 19. That was really heavily edited. The original thing is over 2 hours long, and I just cut it down to about half.
Wow. I did not know that phone call was that long. I do remember that episode being mostly a phone call.
Yeah.
Have you had to cut anything out that was more of like to protect herself?
Not yet, at least as far as I can remember.
Well, historically, she has given out a lot of information about herself. Usually,
I censored phone numbers or email addresses, or some names like the wallflower is still censored.
Oh, you have the uncensored version of that. I just assumed that it was censored already when you got it.
Oh no, it's all available on the Quickie.
Oh, I see. Well, that's wonderful that you're doing that. Honestly, that could turn into a very bad situation with how many people you have watching your series.
Yeah.
You haven't had anything like that yet, have you? Where one of those people reaches out to you and says, "Hey, people have watched your series and they've been bothering me."
No, that hasn't happened. Though I don't feel like that doesn't happen. Like I'm pretty sure that some people do watch the series and get ideas like, I can be the next Clyde Cash, and I'll try to talk to them on Twitter. I'll try to pretend I'm Sonichu or something. But they get blocked pretty quickly. So.
Oh, good lord. I do believe that, and a lot of people might disagree with me, but having knowledge of Christine for a decade now, I do believe that Christine is growing more aware of the situation that she's in and how people are looking to take advantage of her.
Yeah, definitely. Chris themselves, in addition to Chris's protectors on Kiwi Farms, which are former trolls as well, they really tried to help her as much.
Do you have any idea of what she's doing now? As far as, you said she was making a card game, but how? I suppose for viewers who have already seen your documentary, this might be just kind of like a sneak peek into the future if they don't already know about what she's doing now. But do you know what she's up to?
Not much, honestly. She talks often about meditating through Tetris, like playing Tetris, and seeing visions of the cartoon dimension, and hoping that the merge between dimensions will. Not much is really happening right now.
I've heard that I've heard that thrown around quite a bit. The merging of dimensions, when people talk about in your comments and that type of thing.
Yeah, that was originally brought about by, I believe, the idea guys for this trolling group very recently from a few years back, who managed to take control over Chris by pretending to be certain characters from Chris's Sonic 2 series, and they managed to extort her for like $60,000.
Oh my God!
They were called the idea guys because they managed to convince Chris of many of these ideas, which Chris then introduced in her own comics, in her own Sonic 2 comics. She still believes to this day, such as the merge, and that Ted Bundy is half Sonic 2, and that Bob Chandler is also half Sonic 2, and he continues to live on in the other dimension as a Sonic 2.
Oh my God, that's actually rather cruel.
Yeah.
Well,
probably the worst trolling that has ever happened.
Well, I have one last question for you, and we've been talking for a little bit over an hour now, so I want to make sure that we don't make this too long. But how do you think, as a Christorian, that Christine has mentally evolved over the years? Do you think that she is doing better these days? Do you think that she's going to just get worse and worse? Some people I've seen from the readings I did to prepare for this interview, some people are suspecting that she at this point might even be showing signs of schizophrenia.
Yeah, some people might say that she has schizophrenia or personality disorder or associated personality disorder, which I think is more accurate. I really do believe that Chris has devolved mentally since then, and of course, because being Chris, they were a very susceptible person. They were very susceptible to outside influences. They really didn't think for themselves all that much, and all this trolling basically involved people that they got to know, and then later found out that all that relationship was fake, and they were just being toyed with. And of course, that creates a really terrible sense of paranoia and distrust. And they feel like no one they meet in real life can be trusted, but then they need to escape into this fantasy world. And this is where the merge talk happens a lot, because Chris desperately wants this to be a reality, and live with the cartoon characters that she created.
It's actually strange to think that in reality, for her, people like you might be the closest thing that she has to friends. Just people over the internet who aren't exactly hostile. I've seen several videos in my lifetime of her going to restaurants and things with people, but it almost always seems to be that somebody's, like you said, trying to take advantage of her. So you think that will just keep happening?
I really don't think so. I think Chris is really more hesitant towards accepting new people in their life. So, unless they try to manipulate them with talks about merges and I am a Sonichu. Of course, that happened not a long while ago. So really hard to say. Especially, it feels like Chris starts talking about merges and starts escaping into his fantasy world when times are the hardest for them. So when his mother, Barbara, dies, be very soon anyway, because he's very old and not doing well. It's a scary time, I think, because Chris cannot be in that house by themselves. They cannot afford it.
Yeah.
They have another mortgage on it.
Do you think this will ever end?
Well, it'll end somehow. Everything has to end, but I have no idea how. There were some plans from higher ups in UV Farms about what they will do with Chris when Barb dies. That they had this whole contingency plan to save Chris and to ensure that he gets to stay in a safe place. I don't really know the details, but I don't know if that plan is still in place because the leader, the chief moderator of Kiwi Farms, the admin, I mean, he turned his back on Chris because even after all that he has done for Chris, she just continued to talk about talking with Sonichus in real life, and no, would not indulge her fantasies. No, ouch, not for you.
Wow. So we honestly have nothing. We have no idea what's going to happen and come for the future for Chris and for your show as well. That must be rather exciting for you.
Yeah. I'm just excited to moving on into different parts of Chris' life now, like past the so-called classic era. It's interesting because I really have no idea what's going to happen. I'm just no, as you said before, I'm kind of like a journalist, and I'm just watching the story unfold before me, and I have no idea. No idea what's going to happen. How's it going to end?
Well, that's very exciting, and that's a wonderful take on it. Well, we've been talking for a little bit over an hour now, and I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you've got the rest of your day to go through, and for me, it is 1 o'clock in the morning. So I suppose we'll cut this off here. I want to thank you very much for allowing me to interview you. Of course, you didn't have to do that or anything. That was
my pleasure.
Well, it was very kind of you. Since I believe I just reached out to you on Twitter. As a last thing, do you have anything that you'd like to plug?
Yeah, sure. Let's plug my Christiana Comprehensive History channel up on YouTube. That's Geno Samuel 2.1. Also, if you're interested in any of the music that I make, let's check out Geno Samuel up on YouTube. I'm also available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and all that other good stuff for streaming and downloads. And please check out my Patreon too. That's patreon.com/Geno Samuel.
Okay. Well, we'll have all of those in the description. Thank you guys for listening to I'll Discuss Anything. I'm Patrick. This has been Geno. Thanks for coming on the show, Geno.
Again.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.